Apparently, according to Meta, this is off the record, before with Andromeda, Facebook and Instagram weren't actually talking to each other. They weren't linked,
Right.
which I found amazing to me. What's your comment on that?
So before we had basically a high amount of Facebook and a lower amount of Instagram. We turn on Andromeda and now we have a lower amount of Facebook and a higher amount of Instagram. And that's where we were all last year. The placements inside of our non-Andromeda campaigns were starting to go haywire. Basically, the traditional campaigns that were not Andromeda compliant started to actually give us more traffic on Facebook than Instagram, even when we're trying to adjust placements. But we run into an issue here, which is last click attribution. And this is where things get a little bit muddy, which is, well, if this campaign is responsible for bringing all the new people in and they're going through click through checkout and they stop there, how do we get them to buy? So we said, well, let's launch a buy campaign. So these two campaigns are using the same exact everything. Both are broad targeting. Both are basically just running wide open. And they both have the same exact ads in both. Yep. Like, so these ads are basically just doubled up. So you'll see like a lot of times the same one. They're the same ads in both campaigns.
Got it.
We said, well, we're starting to get some purchases and they were starting to look good. This is the week before last when things started to not look good. But what we're seeing is, yeah, we're getting new customers. They're purchasing. Things are looking good. And they're coming in at a really good CPA and something we want to afford around $200. We're like, this is a home run. Excellent. Year-over-year gross up 38% since doing this. We are hitting a home run. Actually, that's what we have to look at because I don't really care about what in-platform metrics are. I just care about the trends. Right. But ever since running this model this last 2 weeks, we are 37% over year. They're making 70. Now we're making over 100. We were expecting to make somewhere in the 60s this last week.
And this is pulled right from the CRM, I believe. Not Shopify. This is a CRM.
Yeah, this is actually their finance team.
Got it.
Got it. And so what's cool about that, it was like everything was working fine. So we said, hey, well, let's start to get less top of funnel, less checkouts. So let's start to push more conversions. Can we transition in?
Makes sense.
So we started to say, okay, well, we were pulling out, $7K out of our checkout optimization here, and we're pushing $7K into our conversions. And this last week, we did another move where we swapped them. You can see we spent the same. We're just, robbing from A to pay B. Yep. But this is when we started to see 2 weeks ago some softness, and then this last week now was starting to hurt, and top line was starting to suffer. So we look in there and we say, okay, well, ever since transitioning, now we've lost 16 new customers and we lost 117 click-through checkouts. Started to look a little funny. And so I told them I'm waiting and expecting this. And this is what I said before we
Because it's a 30-day cycle.
Well, it's a 30-day cycle, but if this is last click checkout, this is feeder kind of, again, which means we get a whole bunch of people, 800 people to go in through checkout. And then those people are then targeted because they're the same people that most often when they're targeted, they do convert.
Right.
So what we end up accidentally doing is we robbed our lead generator for our sales. So we pulled out 25% in people who are going to checkout, and we started losing the people going to purchase. So basically I have a door greeter that's opening the door and letting everybody into the store. And then you got one salespeople back there that says, come here, I'm ready for you. What we did is we shut the door.
Yeah.
That's all we did. So I said, I'm waiting to see if we see some softness here because it's last click attributed, which means everybody that has come from checkout optimization, once they fully go through the funnel, can only show up here unless we're tracking, obviously, those two. So by simply MMM modeling, very simplistic, if you pull in from top of funnel and push more in the bottom of the funnel, we've dried up the funnel. So we said, hey, let's do this on the 18th of this week, because we check everything week over week. I said, let's do this. Let's move our money back. So we took $2,000 back and put it into our checkout optimization campaign. And then we took $3K out. Yep. So a 20% increase in checkouts and a 36% decrease in new customer sales. That's the spend. So we just pulled back. And we put it more towards like, okay, salesperson, you hold tight. We're going to go open the door. And that's what we did. Now, what I thought was really cool is, yes, we spent 36% less in new customer acquisition. We increased new customer acquisition by 128%.
Wow.
And we have a checkout optimization that went up 21% and brought us 10% more checkouts.
Yeah.
So that 10% is still 26. So now watch this. We have a new customer checkout that had 20 new customer purchases that it can track. And that 20 went up to 24. So now we have 20 going to 24. So there's 4. And then we have 7 going to 16. That's 9. But 9 plus 4 is 13. And so we actually have 13 more new customers simply by reallocating the spend back. We just opened the front doors again, let more people in, and the salesperson back there was able to close more people. That's micro conversions leading the charge, retrain the algorithm to focus on an audience with fast feedback loops, and everything else is following along.
They're really interesting here. I mean, I know that because of the longer sales cycle, you wanted to get the checkout. Like I assume that's an initiate checkout action that you are optimizing for on the campaign.
Yep.
And it's a precursor to the actual purchase, but the purchase typically does happen, the vast majority of them, in and around the 30-day mark.
We found out that, the click-through checkout still sometimes take 7 to 10 days.
Okay. So even that takes 7 to 10 days. Okay.
Yeah.
Got
now,
it.
when we put money back in, we re-engage people that were getting ready to add to cart. We went back to them.
Okay. What if you had just waited longer, though? Everything that I'm thinking of is like, all right, you didn't wait long enough. You need to ultimately you want to optimize for purchases. Right.
Exactly right. And what's funny is when looking at just MMM, the first move that we made went from our new customers went climbing to now kind of like a little bit flatter. We made a second move. It started to kind of like chop around. We made the third move and it started declining. So we said, okay, let's take one step back. We took one step back and now they've flattened out again. So it's very interesting to see when you do MMM, if I push spend there, what happens to my new customers? Well, what if I pull it out? They go down. So I put it in, they go up. What if I move it? They go down. Okay, well, move it. Oh, okay, cool. Like we're basically just pulling one lever and seeing how the other lever moves. But the hypothesis is that we were bringing in a lot less new users because they were coming in at 10x the frequency. For every one customer we get, we have to have 10 checkouts. So unless we're keeping a high amount of ad spend on those checkouts and bringing a whole bunch of people to the site, the conversion campaign didn't have enough money to keep continually increasing, because I do believe that they were going after an audience that at least made it to a specific point before, because it's been there for about $300,000.
Right.
So I think it's learned that funnel really well.
Yeah. Why wouldn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, it's the lowest hanging fruit. Like, why not?
If I target those people, do they buy? Who are those people? Those are click-through checkouts.
Yeah.
Great.
It really is like you've created sort of a mini feeder strategy inside Meta.
Exactly right. Yeah, we have feeder strategy for Andromeda already. It's crazy.